Hello, once again. Thanks for joining us right here on Kardec Radio. This is Spiritism, a closer look. We do this program every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Luiz Lima here in Orlando, Florida today. And on this program, we're going to take a closer look at the immortal spirit. I think it's a very interesting subject, immortal spirit. So we're going to talk. First of all, we need to contextualize things. We need to put things into a context. So, there's, I believe, some interesting information here. So let's go through it. So I'm going to start saying that the creation has two worlds: the world of matter, also called the material world, and the world of spirits, also called the spiritual world. Few words about each one of them quickly. The material world is made of inert matter. That's an important word, inert. Matter doesn't do anything by itself. A rock doesn't move by itself. The material world, or the matter that makes it, has no intelligence whatsoever, no intelligent attributes. For example, the entire mineral kingdom, it's only matter. Like I said, rocks don't do anything. They don't move by themselves. They don't get translated by themselves, nothing like this. They don't have the attributes that would allow this to happen, because it would require an intelligence behind it. So the material world is made of matter, inert matter. We as people incarnated here on earth, we perceive the material world with our five senses. That's how we interact and perceive the material world. Now, on the other side, on the other hand, we have the spiritual world, which is made of spirits. That's where the source of intelligence is. All intelligence, the source of all intelligence, is in the spirit world. Matter is operated by an intelligence, and the intelligence belongs to the spiritual world, where the spirits are. Differently than the material world, again, that we perceive with our five senses, we perceive the spiritual world with our chakras, also called force centers, vital centers. There are different names for it, but that's how we perceive the spiritual world. Our physical eyes, our nose, they're not good for anything that happens on the spirit world or spiritual world. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. That being said, spirit and matter are completely independent, 100% independent. There is nothing common. There is no kind of common ground between them. There's nothing in common. Spirits are not made of matter. Spirits are not made of atoms, molecules, leptons, quarks, bosons. No. Spirits don't have any of that. On the other hand, matter does not have intelligence. Matter does not carry any sort of morality. Those are attributes of the spirits. So they are completely independent. Just think about this. If I give you, let's say, a few blocks of Lego, those little blocks of Lego. If you don't do anything with the blocks, if you leave them on the floor, they will stay forever and ever on the floor. For those blocks of Lego become, let's say, a house, some intelligence has to assemble them. So they become a house or a little car or whatever you do it. Matter by itself does not do. One block of Lego does not attach to the other out of accident. There is no such thing. So matter, as we know, is always the same in the sense that, for example, an atom of, say, carbon is the same everywhere, all around the world. Water, which is formed of, atoms of hydrogen and oxygen, water is water everywhere, wherever you go, regardless of where you are. Water is water. It's made of those atoms. 2 atoms of hydrogen, 1 of oxygen. Now, so matter is always the same, doesn't change by itself. On the other hand, spirits are not all the same. As a matter of fact, there are no two spirits are equal, because each spirit has achieved a different level of growth and advancement through different experiences, through different timing. So the level of advancement is based not only on intelligence, but also on morality. So the spirit will evolve. But like I said, each one at its own pace. So different spirits have different abilities. They have had and will have different experiences. So that all of that to kind of put into context spirit. Now here's the other word, immortal. We're talking about the immortal spirits. Okay, so we're going to talk about immortal. Well, immortality, the word immortality, immortal is a qualification, an adjective. Immortality refers to something that has an unending existence. The existence of whatever is immortal never ends. So when you say something is mortal or someone is mortal, it's subject to death. And death here refers to the destruction of the body, in the sense that not only all of its functions, the body's functions, are no longer carried out, but also the physical form will disintegrate over time. Somebody goes, they die, there's going to be a point where slowly, but it will happen, the form, the body, which is now dead, will disintegrate. Now, when it comes down to the destruction of the physical body, we need to pay attention to something. The destruction, all destruction means you have to have a physical form. That form might change, so it got destructed. However, you cannot destroy something that doesn't have a form. I'm going to say that again. For you to destroy something, that something has to have a physical form. Right? Spirits don't have a form because they are not matter. There is nothing of matter in spirits. So you cannot destroy something that is not made of matter. You can only destroy something that is made of matter. The form can change in the physical, in the material world. Form can be destroyed, reconstructed. But you can only do this with something that is formed of matter. So you cannot destroy the spirit. You cannot kill the spirit. You can kill a person, meaning the body will die and be destroyed later, disintegrated, not the spirit. So things like killing, destroying, disintegrated, those are the words I used. These are material statements. You cannot kill or annihilate a spirit. Thus, Conclusion, the spirits are immortal. By the way, when we say, or when we refer to, very often, by the way, we refer to an immortal spirit. That's kind of a pleonasm. The spirit is immortal by design. You don't have to use that qualification. We do because of, most of us got used to, there's nothing wrong with that, but just to bring it to your attention. If I say spirit of immortal spirit, I didn't add any special qualification to the spirit. It is immortal by design. So to define immortal, it means it has a beginning, but it doesn't have an end. Spirit was created at one point in time, way back, but it doesn't have an end, which is different than eternal. Eternal mean, and we cannot grasp this, not yet, meaning eternal. It never had a beginning and it will have no end. That's a very challenging concept for most of us because of the level of advancement and understanding that we have, which is still very, very low. In 1990, an American author published a book called The Quantum Self. The Quantum Self. Her name, Dana Zohar. She has a bachelor's degree in physics and philosophy from MIT, and she completed several postgraduate studies in philosophy, religion at Harvard. She's a very well qualified person, and she wrote this book. This is 36 years ago in 1990. Again, the book name is The Quantum Self. It's a book that talk about basically, in very simple and quick words, rethinking our daily life experiences based on the fact that we are all connected. And to explain that, uses new insights from modern physics. New in 1990. Now we know much more. So the book is more than ever very interesting. So that's the approach of the book. We are all connected. We're going to use the new things that we learn in quantum physics to explain that. That's what the book is about. In this book, there is one phrase that kind of, my eyes opened wide when I read this thing. It's just one phrase. This book is written for technical people, for the science world. And I'm going to read the phrase. I'm not going to explain what it is. I'm just going to read, so there's nothing wrong. He said this, is not really this. I'm not interpreting the phrase. I'm reading to you. Here you go. Quote, at the subatomic level of elementary particles, there is no death in the sense of a permanent loss. End quote. Let's revise this for a second. At the subatomic level of elementary particles. Okay, so elementary particles. For a very long time, we thought, or we accepted, let's put it this way, that the atom was the smallest particle possible. Of course, today the atom is a gigantic particle formed of electrons, protons, neutrons, which are, by the way, formed by other things like bosons, leptons, quarks, and it goes on and on and on. So she's talking about the subatomic levels, meaning these leptons and quarks and bosons and this. And she says, there is no death in the sense that these things are not lost. There's no permanent loss. What exists is transformation. You see, all these particles, subatomic particles, this is all material world. Yes, they can change the form. You can recombine atoms, you can recombine molecules, and so things will change, forms will change. It's the ongoing world that we are part of. But even though there's not a permanent loss, And that is because we were not the ones who created these particles. These particles are created by the Creator. So we can use them, change, modify, do certain things with that, but we cannot destroy in the sense of a permanent loss. That's very interesting. And now that we have established these say definitions, or at least the concept of an immortal spirit, that changes the way we can and should live our lives. Because if we live our lives by the or under the materialistic paradigm, we're going to live one way. If we live by the spiritualist / spiritist paradigm, it's going to be a different thing. So if we look, and we're going to do this now, if we look at the 7 perennial questions, questions that never stop coming up in our lives, we're going to answer those questions, or compare the answer, rather, as if we were under the materialistic paradigm versus as if we were under the spiritist paradigm. And things are different. The answers are very different. So here we go. Question number 1. Who are we? For materialism, under the materialist paradigm, who are we? It's a straight answer. We are a body formed of, or by approximate 70 trillion cells. That's it. That's who we are. From the spiritist paradigm, that's not what we are. Who are we? Spiritist paradigm, we are immortal spirits. Completely different. Second perennial question. Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Materialistic paradigm. We come from our parents. It involves DNA, genetics, everything that we know. We come from our parents. Spiritist paradigm. We come from the spirit world. That's what we are, in essence, spirits. We are having a physical experience, but we never gave up being spirits. That's what we are. Which is an answer different than the materialist paradigm. Perennial question number 3. Where are we going? What comes after our life here is over, for example? Right? So where are we going? Materialistic paradigm. We are going back to nature. We're going to be powder again. Where are we going? Spiritist paradigm. Spirit world. We return to where we came from. Spirit world. We came from the spirit world, and we go back there. Perennial question number 4. When we die, what do we take with us? What do we take with us? Materialistic answer, nothing. Money stays, the car stays in the garage, the computer stays on the desk. So the materialistic answer is we don't take anything. Spiritist paradigm says we take the learning process, our knowledge, acquired knowledge. We take our experiences. They pile up as we go incarnation after incarnation. That's why we evolve and get better, because we append new experiences at the end of every life. We append new knowledge to our already existing pile of knowledge prior. Perennial question number 5. Okay, so we die. What happens now? Okay, so the question is, we die. What happens now? Materialistic answer. What do you mean? That's their answer. We die, we die. We die, that's it. That's the end. There's nothing to be said, nothing to talk about. That's it. Spirit answer. We die, what happens now? We go to what is called the errant state. So we go back to the spirit world. We're going to review our experiences, the acquired knowledge, the opportunities that we have, how we used these opportunities. You know, we missed this, we missed that, we did this good, this thing, we got to do it again because it wasn't good enough. That's what the errant state is for. So we go back to the spirit world and we stay in this errant state, which is a state of almost like a self-analysis of what was done and what still needs to be done. And we could go through things like, well, on this past life that I just left behind, I was supposed to be doing this, and you know, at the end, I wasn't able to for reason A or B or C. Errant state. Perennial question number 6. How is it to die? The process of death. Materialistic answer. It's the same for everyone. The cells stop. The brain stops sending signals throughout the body. Heart stops. Brain stops. That's it. No activity, flatline. That's it. How is it to die? Spiritist answer. It depends on the level of advancement. Spirits that are less advanced, low order spirits, suffer through the process of dying or through the process of death. They suffer because low order spirits are attached, completely attached to the world of matter. When they figure out they're leaving the world of matter, they go into a despair. They don't want to let go. So it's very difficult. It is a lot of suffering in low order spirits when they have to pass to the other side. Highly evolved spirits or more advanced spirits don't suffer as much. Very highly evolved spirits don't suffer at all. They already know and they already understand what's going on. Perennial question number 7. How should we live? Okay, I'm here. How do I live my life? Materialistic answer. It doesn't matter. You see, you can establish moral standards and so, but as a physical life, it doesn't really matter. Because we're all going to end up the same way, on a flat line. How should I live my life once I'm here? Spiritist answer. Christ consciousness. I should be aware of things, study, aware of life, what comes after that. What comes after this life? So these are the several perennial questions, and now we can draw a few things here, a few conclusions. First, death changes the state of life, but it doesn't change the existence of the spirit. The spirit does not cease to exist when the body dies. The immortal spirits, that's how the word immortal comes about. The immortal spirit does not cease to exist because the body has completed its work. Again, the spirit cannot be destroyed. Thus, the spirit is immortal. The state of life changes from corporeal to non-corporeal, sometimes called ethereal. So we have a corporeal life. After death, we continue on a non-corporeal life until we incarnate again. And then we'll have another corporeal life. And it goes on and on and on through this alternation between states, corporeal and non-corporeal, that goes on until we reach perfection. When we reach perfection, there's no more need for a physical life because we reach perfection. There's no need to experience anything on earth or on any physical life anymore. Reincarnation then is no longer necessary. However, spirits can voluntarily themselves. They can make themselves volunteer and come down as a mission to teach others, like Jesus, for example. They don't have to improve on anything. He was already a perfect spirit. He came down on a mission, not to improve, not to learn more. We do not become someone else after death. The change is from corporeal to non-corporeal. The Spiritism teaches, or the Spiritist teachings rather, holds that the relationships built through genuine affection are not simply erased by death. They will be carried on. Sometimes we meet somebody that we never saw before in this lifetime. We look at that person and we have sometimes, oh my God, tremendous affinity, or the other way around. Oh my God, this is repulsive at times. These are relationships from past lives, experiences that happened together between those two spirits. Spirits continue to exist. The Spiritist literature, the vast Spiritist literature, describes the continued bonds of affection between those in the physical world and those in the spiritual world. So, the immortality of the soul makes us immortal spirits. That's why we say we are immortal spirits. But the important thing here is how I try to start our talk today. The difference between spirit and matter. You can only annihilate, destroy, disintegrate something that is made of matter, particles, molecules, cells. You cannot do that to the spirit. Spirit is the source of intelligence in the creation. Thank you very much for having us today. And like I always say, we do Spiritism Closer Look every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks so much.